I've been helping people publish their books for over 15 years, and there are now more options than ever before when it comes to publishing your book. So how do you know if you're choosing the right option? Well, in this video, I'm going to explain the three main ways, which are, of course, traditional publishing, the pros and cons, vanity publishing, or hybrid publishing as it's known, and why you should avoid it like the plague. I'm also going to explain what professional self-publishing is, how it's different from traditional self-publishing, and why it's the option you should choose. And finally, if you watch right through to the end of the video, I will explain the most important unfair advantage that you need to make sure your publisher has. So let's start with traditional publishing. It's the most well known, and to be honest, it's still one of the options that people lust over, but not as much as they used to. We're actually seeing an increasing trend of previously traditional publishing authors opting to go the self-publishing route instead. But why is this? Well, one of the main reasons is that people have realized the deals they get with traditional publishing are not as good as they thought. Even if you are lucky enough to get an advance, that's usually all the money you're going to get, really, because deep within the contract, it actually states that you have to pay back that advance using your royalties. So usually as an author, you won't really see any money past that initial stage. On top of this, that process is really, really slow. It can take as long as 2 years. I've heard it take longer, but that tends to be the average from once you finally convince a literary agent to support you, and then, all the way through to publishing. There is actually one instance where I believe traditional publishing is better than all the other options, but I'll explain that in a moment. Now, a couple of tips here if you are focused on getting a traditional publishing deal is you need to be the big fish when it comes to your literary agent. And what do I mean by this? Well, it also is true for your publisher. You also want to be the big fish at your publisher. What this means is that if your literary agent has other authors who have a better chance of success, i.e. a better chance of getting a publishing deal, a better chance of getting a big upfront payment, then they will always focus on those authors and you will be an afterthought. So you need to make sure that whoever you choose to be your literary agent and to represent you, you are the big fish. On top of that, if when it comes to the publisher, again, you want to be the big fish. And this is what goes back to what I mentioned before, where I said there is one instance where traditional publishing is the best option. And this is true for about 1% of cases, but it's where you have an existing audience, right? If you already have a really big audience, a big following, you're famous in some way, that is the route for you, because they will roll out the red carpet and you'll be an amazing experience for you. But for everybody else, the other 99%, I'm going to explain the other two options. So, of course, the other option is professional self-publishing. But before we get to professional self-publishing and how it's different from just self-publishing, we're going to talk about vanity and hybrid publishing, which is something I hear people mention a lot. And I believe you should avoid these two options like the plague. Number one, of course, they have a bad reputation, right? We all know that hybrid vanity publishers have a bad reputation. And the answer is why? Well, because they have their cake and eat it too, right? And what I mean by this is that they charge you a fee for publishing. So when you go to a vanity or a hybrid publisher, there will be a fee involved to publish your book. On top of that, they will also take a percentage of your royalties. So they're helping themselves to money up front, then they're helping themselves to your royalty. And so for the author, this is a bad deal. Now, vanity and hybrid publishers will often say to you that, well, we're incentivized because we are getting a percentage of the royalties. But that's simply not true, because they've already de-risked themselves. So anything from this point forward is a bonus to them. And that's why hybrid and vanity publishing is not a good option. So that brings me on to professional self-publishing. So what is professional self-publishing? So of course, you'll be familiar with just self-publishing, right? going on Amazon KDP, giving it a go and seeing what happens and doing it yourself. Now, the problem with this is that there are lots of nuances to publishing a book, right? To give your book the best chance of success, you need professionals around you who've done it before. They know the ins and outs. They know how to launch a book. They know great editors who can really make your book shine. They know incredible book cover designers that can make the book pop, on those bookshelves so that people actually pick it up. And then there's metadata and keywords and categories, and there's so much to publishing a book that trying to do it yourself is incredibly hard. And really you're destined to fail or maybe get a little bit of mediocre success at best. The authors who self-publish, they do so professionally, and those are the authors that hit the bestseller lists, and that books really change their life. And so that's the difference, is using a company. Of course, that's what we do at Publishing Push. So what we do is we hold your hand throughout the process. We have experts with a huge amount of experience in self-publishing who will take your book all the way through, start to finish. You hand us your manuscript, we do everything for you. We use the best professionals in the world at doing this, and what we produce is something that is indistinguishable from a book that's been published by a Penguin or a Random House or a Simon & Schuster. And that's the key difference, and that's what you want to do. You can source these professionals yourself, so you could source a cover designer, an editor. The reason you want to use a professional self-publisher is we hear so many situations where people have hired an independent professional and then they've just never heard from them again, or they get halfway through and then they don't finish, and they've got no recourse. The person just kind of poof, vanishes, right? So that is why professional self-publishing is the best option if you are serious about creating an incredible book. And finally, with professional self-publishing, you've paid for the publishing, so you are the customer, and ultimately their job, our job at Publishing Push is to bring your book to life and bring your vision to life as you would like it. Tell your story the way that you would like it to be told. And on top of that, you keep 100% of your royalties, full ownership of the book. So that's my view on professional self-publishing. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you got value, because on this channel we'll be bringing you lots more videos helping you with your writing journey and your publishing journey.